Yes. I feel like I lost the documents of the court case. What documents are you talking about? The production notes from last episode. Oh, that's just a shame. Thankfully, the information flow for Humanide's resume is going well. Great to hear. So, what information do you have gathered so far? What I've read was, I did find a filed patent for his studio and office building located near you. Just yesterday filed. Python, you do realize we're trying to find evidence for his dismissal from the studio, not his plans to become a competing identity. Well, what strategy you're supposed to use for this case, since this entire lawsuit is bullcrap. Dude, I didn't even file this. Well, whatever. You're stuck with this, and you're required to find the necessary documents. I'll do the financing and research afterward. Anyways, farewell, Diesel. Oh, I guess I messed up. I guess I'll watch a recorded review that's already been produced. We're finally reviewing Rockin Caverns. If you want to skip the history of this map, the time card is there. If you don't know, Rockin Caverns was a huge turning point for my map building back in 2021, with the first 9 maps I made before Rockin having little care and detail, with gameplay mainly being good, that's somewhat interesting, okay, yet forgettable, and the gameplay that I didn't even think through for, which even I disowned the maps. At that point, after Flood Escape Factory Original, my thoughts were Rockin Caverns was going to be the part 1 of the finale of my series of maps, being where you defeat Diesel Deucey 4TH in his Magma Layer and Rock Band stage after a Death Run inspired gameplay section, which we'll get to the quality of this shortly after. After the map was finished, I decided to revamp all of my released maps I had, and thank goodness for that. Otherwise, my maps would not only be lost in time, but wouldn't have grown as a creator. I bring this up As I bring this up, Mar wanted to revamp Rockin Caverns at the time, which I finished Dark Science Laboratory and started on Nuclear Explosion. I agreed to the plan, mainly for the Rockin Caverns revamp planned 2 or 3 years from now. The Mar version took around a week to finish. While it did improve some stuff, I was not a fan of Mar changing the sole concept of the map when it first released, being a death run styled map, as well as removing the final tower, which will be discussed later, but was an important story element. After that, I've been playing the map, trying to beat it since I started my channel 5 days after his video was released. There are a few more things in the map's history, but I'll save that for another video. For now, we'll have to see the quality of the map and what flaws and successes were apparent. With the rules of this map competition, we'll go in order of when the map was made, meaning Rockin Caverns original, then Enigmatic Caverns. The review order will be room by room for gameplay detail and layout logic for both. Overall pacing and music discussed at the end of the review. I'll also have a point count similar to Dark Science Laboratory review, with essentials having a range of 10 and my nitpicks at a range of 5. Finally, this will not include any fan-made versions or the revamp I'll be making in the future, as that would be unfair to have, and I did not consider them for this video. Anyways, let's get started. Room 1 of the map starts off with a fast pace, leading you to a wall jump, and a button, leading you to the next room. The first section takes around 12 seconds to complete, with making a great start, with mostly easier jumps to navigate in a short time. Sure, the gameplay doesn't pack a punch. However, the map does set up by the chaos, the essential selling point. However, the room's detail is very bare basics, with cross ties in terrain elevation. It would have been accepted back in 2019 maps, but not in 2023. Therefore, the score over the gameplay is a 5, while the details a 3. The award for the worst room of the map. The second room is what holds 2 buttons in the splitting portion of this duo map. As for buttons, it's completely redundant, since it doesn't contribute to the story and slightly ruins this pacing. Also, a problem is the lead up to the splitting point of 2 or more people, since the gameplay is not only challenging in this section, but the third button is awkwardly placed because of it takes the majority of the gameplay, and it takes the majority of the room. However, the gameplay for the 2 buttons isn't the worst or even terrible. It's just a serviceable section that holds the pacing, with a little walking. For our serviceable, many of the areas are bland and make no distinction for the room, with only wall-detailed terrain and wooden structures. And a laughably bad-looking dead tree that's supposed to be the gameplay for the third button. 3 points for gameplay, 2 points for detail. When revamping this room, I'll just replace the gameplay and detail with more coherent story reasons. After entering the elevator or bridge, depending on the variant system, we have the most death run part of the map, with a classic trap. Unlike the last room, with detail being nearly non-existent, and gameplay decent this time, it's the inverse for this room. The gameplay here is just walking, unless you're too late enough to be caught in this trap, being this death type of trap where it traps you and it kills you in lava. As for detail, while not good, it does have some interesting stuff at the top. with wall details that look better, as well as the lighting and pipes. The bottom level does not look good, however, with the classic diesel details made from the original dystopian city to the original Rockin Caverns. What do I mean by this? Varied wall detail shapes with vines don't look like ones. As for detail design, would not be good, and thankfully fixed in the next map. However, I make a volcano revamp. As for this room, I'll give the gameplay a 0 to 1, whereas the detail a 5. This section here may be my favorite part of the map, holding a unique tower area. This tower has the best gameplay of the map, since it has 3 key elements: tension, consistent flow, and unpredictability. With most of my maps, mainly most of the modern ones, have tension. Out of the 20-ish maps I've made, only 4 I marked down for this video had tension, being the first 2 early maps, Rockin Caverns itself, and Nuclear Explosion, surprisingly. The tension of them isn't listed, doesn't have fast pacing, isn't threatening at all, and are mostly atmospheric, which only works a few times for me with non-confusing gameplay and pleasing details. For example, Dark Science Laboratory, Dark Search, and most of Mechanical Island Revamp. Yeah, the ending doesn't have it. With this room, you have snappy gameplay, quick-paced lava, and unpredictable rises. If you're on the bottom level, it's great. There's also a consistent flow of elements, with the first half of the room, the second half not having so much. Although, due to manual button pushes, it has a correct unpredictability, since it's not forced, and it's also much more of a vaguer brand, so it can have variety. Nuclear Explosion is a counter argument to this, which I do like the map. It just, the most unpredictable parts are too confusing for many, and is put in the front of the map, which slowed down the pacing, and which would have been challenging to place good gameplay within. But back to Rockin Caverns. The detail for the lower section is also well done, the second best looking part of the map, and easily the most consistent. However, it isn't as good as my everyday stuff. It does look good for my maps in 2021. Gameplay gets an 8, while the detail gets a 6. The last Death Run room, which gets back to the crappy detail gameplay. Now, in the POV here, the gameplay is just walking, with just a wall jump and lava walls moving. However, due to a door command which didn't work, the floor didn't drop out, which was supposed to have lava, which the tiles on the ground were gameplay, which however, the tiles would have been bad gameplay since it was straightforward, like that room in Core. As for the bottom detail for the detail was inspired by SeaWorld San Diego Journey to Atlantis music, which was added in 2019 apparently, and it was an Atlantic theme, which could have had in a great room for detail, but it's just okay. Now, while it is the best room for detail, it still has wasted potential that would not be unnoticed for the revamp. For gameplay, it's 0, whereas the detail, it's a 7. Okay guys, this is going to be the big lead up to the finale. We have a zipline off the outside portion with a wall jump at the end catching you. As for detail, it's either hit or miss, either being very crappy and non-existent, like the table in the lava, or it's looking alright, like, you know, the lava sensor. Either way, the detail is in the middle of the map. As for quality. As for gameplay, it's very serviceable, with only thing being the wall jump. It does build anticipation for the final room, which isn't a bad thing. Anyways, gameplay getting a 4, while the detail getting a 4. Oh boy guys, final room. After the first few rooms being either okay or too bad, let's hope this finale or section is so much better than the rest. Okay. So if the second room was the worst overall, the fourth being the best of the map, and the fifth was the worst for gameplay, this room is not only both the weirdest, but the worst detailed. First, the gameplay has so many moving parts. Before I learned to use welds to move parts, I used moving them by individual door functions, which made me put less effort into the detail and gameplay, of course, so I wouldn't have to copy and paste the same script in this section. The gameplay is very gimmicky, with wall jumps and moving parts, like the bridge, and lava wall simulating a train moving. While those parts are unique and do progress the story, they're mainly walking with the lava wall, having a section where they couldn't simply reach and do its purpose of a wraparound. And the final gameplay stretch has us getting 5 buttons, which 2 of them are on a wall jump and 3 of them are on a singular platform. It's made sense for the lava pacing. However, the gameplay was barely anything, which could have been handled reasonably by either the entire top of the section holding the normal gameplay could have been a better option, or make the lava and platforms more fast-paced, so it could have been a better finale. Now for the detail is next to either non-existent or just looking bad and super lazy. With Void Places ending and the start of Boat of Memories having more detail for this room. And this is one of the reasons why I usually make more cramped rooms. Well, until, you know, the Still Being City revamp. Despite it's not having a good idea in my newer maps for gameplay, it's at least easier to detail. With, of course, Dystopian City revamp having both big and small rooms planned. Nonetheless, it still looks bad. Very bad. The detail here is 0, and the gameplay is 2.5. Before we begin and continue to Mars adaptation, I like to stay where in the timeline it is, and some other facts about it that I think could be discussed. Being the 9th out of 10 map segment, the map was in the middle of the pack as for quality, having one of the better detailed maps at the time, as well as gameplay now. Back then, I loved this map, calling it my favorite map since it was very unique for my maps, and maps that were built during late 2022. However, when Nuclear Explosion was in production, I did realize the flaws both in detail and gameplay, and more in gameplay since detail was not good. In March 2023, many of my maps had several flaws, even the modern ones, which I realized. However, to Rockin Caverns' credit, it did help me get better at detailing and me revamping my maps before I made the map finale of the timeline, which thank goodness for that idea, since my maps would have been in a worse reputation or just be forgotten than what I've done in the present day and continue with these map creations. And unfortunately, thanks to Rockin Caverns and I heard of the innovation that the intimate amusement rides did, my future creations became not good for gameplay by including new technologies. But anyways, I'll give it to the live action Diesel for the score. And by the way, while writing the script, I've decided to actually write this chart. Alright, so this is going to be the detail score right here. And this is going to, no wait, this is the gameplay score. This is the detail score. Alright, so for the gameplay, it's 23.5. If we add all the scores up, which, and for detail, we add all the scores up, and we have this. Which, of course, 27 is greater than 23.5, so the detail is much better. So apparently, if we add these, it's going to give us a 50.5. And if we put down a percentage, that's an F. Yeah, you get an F in my class if you do that. But anyways, yes. Yeah, so yeah, this is it. Okay. As for other aspects, I do like both music options that were used. Goukisan, Betrayal of Fear, had this intensity factor to it, being close to a threatening end like a finale is supposed to do, and it fits well with the map's tone and scenes. Metal Strikes Metal, being the Roblox version, also does have this intensity factor as well as the majority. With some weakening down in the middle, and not syncing up to the actions besides the start and end, but still, a very good option for the map's music. And the pacing is quite good also, despite some stops of action with some walking and actual pauses. However, this is coming from a person who sees value in instrumental music, which does fill the gaps with anticipation, although the gameplay does not do this with the music, unfortunately. Okay, the map uses a similar, if not identical path of its inspiration. As for detail, I would say this is an improved and more consistent version of this map, with more varied textures, adapted structures, and lighting, and Mars detail. It fits well with the map. Even if it isn't my ideal choice for detail, it does get the job done. As for gameplay, it's very disappointing. The majority of the gameplay is watered down, and doesn't have a unique twist on room layout, besides room 3 having the same trap. Just when you're falling down, it delays you. The first tower section has its best thing removed, both the interactivity and unpredictability of it. The initial room having the diagonal wall jumps removed, it is not fun. And while the second and fourth rooms have more stuff to do and more improved gameplay, it is not as fun as the gameplay highlights of its predecessor, which were superior. And last, power was removed. While it was an important part of the original, I do understand not risking including it, since it would have been hard to adapt to that part, but both the size and moving parts, and it would have been a big risk for being a disaster. As for other qualities, the music in the map, which is Magnetic Minds, was not a good choice, as I found the music found in my editing software was a better choice, since Magnetic Minds does not fit with the intended extreme gameplay or nature. Gameplay is a 5, whereas detail is 7. Using the mean of those to find 6 or 60%. The two maps are decent, or below average, but are vastly different qualities, as it depends on your tolerance and preference of which you like more in maps. Subjectively, I prefer Rockin Caverns for its gameplay that is spread out of the map, his creativity presented in my maps. However, Enigmatic Caverns, one, objectively due its good detail, yet a mediocre gameplay, that wasn't confusing. But anyways, I'm gonna have to prepare for my next review of whatever Cumanide planned. How about opening the present now? It's not January 5th! Ah, I see. Diesel, what is your situation now? I found something related! After watching the Rockin Caverns review. Oh dear, is this gonna be a McDonald's receipt? No, what I realized is the documents are with Shark, and I gave him my script as well. Well, what did it say? I think I messed up the script. Oh,